Welcome to the Shadows, a journey through Oregon's most haunted places. Hello, dear friends, and welcome back to another spine-chilling episode of our haunted storytelling series. If you've joined us before, you know we thrive on uncovering the darkest corners of history, the places where the veil between the living and the dead grows thin. Tonight, we're venturing into the Pacific Northwest, where mist-draped forests, abandoned towns, and eerie landscapes hide secrets that have haunted generations. Oregon, known for its lush greenery and rugged coastline, is home to some of the most haunted places in the United States, locations where history, tragedy, and the supernatural collide in the most terrifying ways. From the shadowy corridors of the Shanghai tunnels beneath Portland to the spectral whispers of Bagby Hot Springs. From the blood-soaked halls of the Oregon State Hospital to the ghostly figures that roam the historic streets of Silverton, these places are steeped in mystery and fear. Whether it's the flicker of a phantom light in the distance, the whisper of an unseen voice, or the sudden drop in temperature on a summer night, these haunted grounds are said to be teeming with the energy of those who have passed. Some believe that these spirits are trapped, unable, or unwilling, to move on, while others suggest that the sheer weight of human emotion, of grief and loss, leaves an imprint on the land itself, making these places hotbeds of paranormal activity. Tonight, we're counting down the most haunted places in Oregon, locations where history, tragedy, and the supernatural intertwine in the most unsettling ways. From the infamous tunnels that once served as a grim reminder of Portland's dark past to the eerie silence of the abandoned town of Golden, each of these places has earned its reputation through decades, sometimes centuries, of inexplicable phenomena. Whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or simply someone who enjoys a good ghost story, these places will send shivers down your spine. So, if you're ready to step into the shadows, grab a blanket, turn off the lights, and prepare yourself for a night of terror. Whether you believe in the paranormal or not, these stories will leave you questioning what really lies beneath the surface of Oregon's most haunted places, and what waits patiently in the darkness. Without further ado, let's begin our descent into the unknown. Number 5 on our list might surprise you, and trust me, things only get scarier from there. The Stanley Hotel, where spirits never check out. Nestled high in the rugged mountains of Oregon lies a place where the past refuses to fade, the Stanley Hotel. Built in the early 20th century, this grand establishment was once a beacon of luxury, drawing travelers seeking respite from the bustling cities below. With its towering spires, intricate woodwork, and breathtaking views of the surrounding wilderness, the Stanley Hotel exudes an air of elegance and mystery. However, beneath its polished floors and opulent chandeliers lies a history steeped in tragedy and the supernatural, making it one of the most haunted hotels in the Pacific Northwest. The hotel was originally constructed in 1917 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, a wealthy inventor best known for co-founding the Stanley Motor Carriage Company. Seeking a retreat for affluent guests, Stanley envisioned a hotel that would rival the grand resorts of Europe. However, the remote location and unpredictable weather proved to be a challenge, and the hotel struggled to attract visitors. Despite these difficulties, the Stanley Hotel became a popular destination for travelers in the 1920s and 1930s, offering a unique blend of rustic charm and modern comforts. But beneath its picturesque exterior, dark events unfolded that would forever alter the hotel's reputation. One of the most well-known hauntings at the Stanley Hotel is associated with room 414. According to legend, a young bride stayed in this room in the 1920s, eagerly awaiting her groom who had gone ahead to secure their suite. Tragically, he was involved in a fatal car accident on the winding mountain roads, leaving the bride heartbroken and alone. Overcome with grief, she is said to have taken her own life in the room, and since then, guests and staff have reported eerie occurrences there. Visitors claim to hear the sound of a woman sobbing in the dead of night, though no one is present. Others have reported seeing a ghostly figure standing near the window, staring out into the darkness as if waiting for someone who will never return. Some even claim that the scent of perfume lingers in the air, despite no one having worn any that day. Beyond room 414, the hotel's grand staircase is another hotspot for paranormal activity. Guests have reported hearing the sound of footsteps echoing through the halls late at night, despite knowing that no one else is present. Some have even claimed to see the faint outline of a woman in a long, flowing dress descending the stairs, only to vanish before they can approach her. Staff members have also experienced strange occurrences: doors slamming shut on their own, objects moving inexplicably, and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Perhaps the most chilling legend associated with the Stanley Hotel is that of the elevator. The hotel's antique elevator, a relic from its early days, is said to operate on its own, moving between floors without any passengers. Some guests claim that when they step inside, the doors close and the elevator begins to move, stopping at a floor that does not exist in the hotel's current layout. Others have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread when riding the elevator, as if something unseen is standing beside them. Staff members have even admitted to avoiding the elevator after hours, citing an inexplicable feeling of being followed. In addition to these ghostly encounters, the hotel's ballroom is also said to be haunted. Once a place of grandeur and celebration, the ballroom now carries an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional sound of faint music playing in the distance. Witnesses claim to have seen the ghostly figures of dancers swirling across the floor, their forms barely visible in the dim light. Some have even reported feeling a cold breeze sweep through the room, though no windows or doors were open. The Stanley Hotel has drawn the attention of paranormal investigators over the years, many of whom have conducted overnight vigils in hopes of capturing evidence of the supernatural. Some have recorded strange voices on audio equipment, whispering in languages that are not recognized. Others have captured images of shadowy figures in photographs, their forms barely distinguishable against the backdrop of the hotel's walls. Thermal imaging cameras have also picked up inexplicable heat signatures in areas where no one was present, further fueling speculation that the hotel is home to lingering spirits. Despite its haunted reputation, the Stanley Hotel remains a popular destination for both history enthusiasts and thrill seekers. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there is something undeniably eerie about walking through its grand halls, knowing that the past is never truly buried. For those who dare to stay, the Stanley Hotel offers an experience unlike any other, a glimpse into a world where the line between history and horror blurs, and where the echoes of the past still whisper through the corridors. The abandoned town of Shanghai, a ghost town frozen in time deep in the high desert of Central Oregon, nestled between rolling hills and vast stretches of sagebrush, lies a place where time seems to have stood still. Shanghai, once known as the wool capital of the world. This once thriving town was a bustling hub of commerce in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Its main street was lined with shops, saloons, and grand Victorian homes, and the town's population swelled as ranchers and traders flocked to the area. However, by the mid-20th century, Shanghai was all but abandoned, its streets left eerily silent, its buildings crumbling under the weight of time. Today, Shanghai stands as one of Oregon's most enigmatic ghost towns, a place where the past refuses to be forgotten and where strange occurrences have fueled legends of the supernatural. Shanghai's origins trace back to the 1880s, when the arrival of the Columbia Southern Railroad transformed the region into a major center for wool production. The town quickly became a vital stop for transporting sheep and wool from the surrounding ranches, and by the early 1900s, it was one of the busiest towns in Central Oregon. At its peak, Shanghai boasted a population of over 1,000 residents, with a thriving business district, a hotel, a post office, and even a newspaper. However, the town's fortunes took a sharp decline in the 1930s when the railroad bypassed the area, redirecting trade to other towns. Without a reliable means of transportation, businesses began to shutter, and residents gradually moved away in search of better opportunities. By the 1950s, Shanghai had become little more than a ghost town, its streets lined with empty storefronts and silent homes. Despite its abandonment, Shanghai has remained a place of fascination, drawing historians, photographers, and paranormal enthusiasts alike. The town's eerie atmosphere is heightened by the fact that many of its buildings remain largely intact, frozen in time as if waiting for their former inhabitants to return. The Shanghai Hotel, one of the town's most iconic structures, still stands with its original wooden floors creaking underfoot, its rooms filled with dust-covered furniture and faded wallpaper. The old general store, once a bustling center of commerce, remains stocked with goods that have long since expired, their labels barely legible beneath layers of dust. Even the town's schoolhouse, with its chalkboards still bearing faint traces of lessons from decades past, seems to hold on to the echoes of a forgotten era. But beyond its historical significance, Shanghai has become known for its unsettling reports of paranormal activity. Locals and visitors alike have spoken of strange occurrences that suggest the town's past is not as distant as it seems. One of the most frequently reported phenomena is the sound of footsteps echoing through the empty streets late at night, despite knowing that no one else is present. Some have claimed to hear the faint strains of a piano playing in the distance, though no instruments remain in the town's abandoned buildings. Others have reported seeing flickering lights in the windows of long-deserted homes, only to find no source of illumination when they investigate. One of the most chilling legends associated with Shanghai is that of the woman in white. According to local lore, a woman once lived in one of the town's grandest homes, her presence known only to a few. She was said to have been a recluse, rarely seen by the townspeople, and those who did encounter her described her as pale and ethereal, her long white dress trailing behind her like a ghostly veil. Some believed she was mourning the loss of a loved one, while others whispered that she had been driven mad by tragedy. When the town was abandoned, she vanished without a trace. However, in the decades since, visitors have reported seeing her figure standing in the upstairs window of the house, her face obscured by the darkness. Others claim to have seen her walking the empty streets at dusk, her form fading into the mist as they approach. Another unsettling phenomenon reported by those who explore Shanghai is the feeling of being watched. Many describe an overwhelming sense of unease, as if unseen eyes are following them from the shadows of the buildings. Some have reported hearing faint whispers carried by the wind, their words just out of reach, as if the voices of the past are trying to tell their story. Others have described sudden drops in temperature in certain areas of the town, despite the warm desert climate, as if the very air is thick with the weight of history. Paranormal investigators have flocked to Shanghai over the years, drawn by its reputation for ghostly activity. Some have captured strange anomalies on camera, shadowy figures moving through the town's deserted streets, orbs of light hovering above the rooftops, and even the faint outlines of spectral figures appearing in photographs. Others have recorded disembodied voices on audio equipment, whispering in languages that are not recognized, their words filled with sorrow and longing. Despite its haunted reputation, Shanghai remains a place of fascination for historians and paranormal enthusiasts alike. It serves as a reminder of the fragile nature of human settlements, and the mysteries that can arise when entire communities vanish without explanation. Whether the spirits of Shanghai's former residents truly linger or if the town's eerie atmosphere is simply the result of its abandonment, one thing is certain: those who visit Shanghai will leave with a sense of having stepped into a world where the past refuses to be forgotten. The Columbia River Gorge, a passage of legends and lost souls carved by the mighty Columbia River over millions of years. The Columbia River Gorge is a breathtaking expanse of towering cliffs, cascading waterfalls, and dense evergreen forests. Stretching over 80 miles between Oregon and Washington, this natural wonder is a place of immense beauty, attracting hikers, sightseers, and nature lovers from around the world. Yet beneath its serene surface lies a history steeped in mystery, tragedy, and the supernatural. Local legends speak of ghostly apparitions, spectral voices carried by the wind, and the lingering presence of those who met their fate along its treacherous paths. For centuries, the Columbia River Gorge has been the setting for countless eerie tales, each one adding to the region's reputation as one of Oregon's most haunted landscapes. One of the most enduring legends of the gorge is that of the Headless Horseman of the Columbia River. According to local folklore, the spirit of a 19th-century Native American warrior roams the riverbanks, searching for the head he lost in battle. The story goes that the warrior was a fierce protector of his tribe, but during a violent skirmish with rival warriors, he was decapitated in the heart of the gorge. Since then, it is said that his ghost rides through the night, his body intact but his head mysteriously absent. Witnesses claim to have seen a dark rider galloping along the river's edge, his horse's hoofs pounding against the earth before vanishing into the mist. Some say that if you hear the sound of approaching hooves but see no rider, you should not look back, lest you catch a glimpse of the headless specter riding just behind you. Beyond the Headless Horseman, the gorge is also said to be haunted by the spirits of those who perished in the countless shipwrecks that have occurred along the river's treacherous waters. The Columbia River has long been known for its unpredictable currents and sudden storms, making it a perilous route for sailors and traders. Over the years, numerous vessels have been lost to the river's depths, their crews swallowed by the icy waters with no hope of rescue. Locals speak of eerie lights flickering along the shoreline at night, believed to be the lanterns of lost sailors still searching for their way home. Some claim to have heard the distant sound of a ship's bell ringing from the depths, though no wreckage has ever been found in the area. One of the most chilling accounts comes from a group of hikers who spent the night camping near the river. As they sat around their campfire, they noticed an unnatural stillness in the air, no birdsong, no rustling leaves, just an oppressive silence that seemed to stretch on forever. Then, without warning, they heard the faint sound of a woman's voice calling out from the direction of the river. The voice was soft at first, barely audible over the crackling fire, but it grew louder with each passing moment. Intrigued yet uneasy, one of the hikers stood up and walked toward the river's edge, hoping to see the source of the call. As he peered into the darkness, he saw nothing but the reflection of the stars in the water. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the voice stopped. The hikers remained awake for the rest of the night, too unsettled to sleep, and when they finally packed up in the morning, they swore they would never return to that spot again. Another haunting tale associated with the Columbia River Gorge is that of the Lady in Red. According to legend, a young woman once lived in a secluded cabin near the river, her presence known only to a few. She was said to have been heartbroken over the loss of her lover, a man who had drowned in the river many years ago. Consumed by grief, she spent her days wandering the cliffs, calling out his name in the hopes that he would return to her. One stormy evening, she was seen standing at the edge of a cliff, her red dress whipping in the wind. The next morning, her body was found at the base of the rocks, her lifeless eyes staring toward the river. Since then, hikers and fishermen have reported seeing a woman in a red dress standing near the cliffs, her figure barely visible in the mist. Some claim she appears only on stormy nights, her voice carried by the wind as she calls out to the river below. The legend of the Lady in Red is not the only ghostly presence said to haunt the gorge. Many visitors have reported an overwhelming sense of being watched while walking along the riverbanks, as if unseen eyes are following them from the shadows of the trees. Some have described sudden drops in temperature in certain areas, despite the warm climate of the Pacific Northwest. Others have spoken of an eerie humming sound that seems to come from nowhere, a sound that grows louder the deeper one ventures into the gorge. Paranormal investigators have explored the area extensively, capturing strange anomalies on camera, shadowy figures moving through the forest, orbs of light hovering above the river, and even the faint outlines of spectral figures appearing in photographs. One particularly unsettling account comes from a group of paranormal researchers who conducted an overnight investigation near Multnomah Falls, one of the gorge's most famous waterfalls. As they set up their equipment, they noticed a strange mist rolling in from the river, despite the clear skies above. The air grew unnaturally cold, and the team reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread settle over them. As they recorded audio near the falls, they captured what sounded like the distant echo of a woman's laughter, though no one else was present. When they played the recording back, they were stunned to hear a voice whispering their names that had never been spoken aloud during the investigation. The team packed up and left immediately, refusing to return to the area ever again. The Oregon Vortex, a place where reality bends deep in the heart of Oregon's wilderness, nestled among towering evergreens and rugged terrain, lies a place where the laws of physics seem to unravel. The Oregon Vortex. This mysterious site, located near Gold Hill in southern Oregon, has gained notoriety for its bizarre gravitational anomalies, optical illusions, and reports of unexplained phenomena that defy rational explanation. Visitors to the vortex describe strange sensations, objects appearing larger or smaller depending on their position, people seemingly tilting at impossible angles, and even time itself feeling distorted. But beyond the scientific curiosity of the Oregon vortex lies a darker reputation, one of ghostly apparitions, eerie whispers, and the lingering presence of those who have ventured into its depths and never returned. The origins of the Oregon vortex date back to the early 20th century when gold prospectors first stumbled upon the area and noticed its strange properties. The site was later developed as a tourist attraction, drawing in visitors eager to witness the gravitational distortions firsthand. Walking through the vortex, guests experience a series of inexplicable phenomena. A person standing at one end of a tilted plank appears to be at the same height as someone standing at the opposite end. A ball placed on the ground rolls uphill, and objects appear to shrink or grow depending on their placement within the vortex. While some scientists attribute these effects to optical illusions caused by the surrounding landscape, others believe the vortex may be a site of magnetic disturbance, or even a portal to another dimension. However, beyond the scientific intrigue, the Oregon vortex is steeped in legends of the paranormal. Locals speak of shadowy figures lurking in the trees, their forms barely visible before vanishing into the mist. Some claim to have seen the ghostly outlines of miners who once searched for gold in the area, their spectral eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Others have reported hearing the distant sound of pickaxes striking rock, though no one is present. One of the most chilling accounts comes from a group of hikers who visited the vortex one autumn evening. As they explored the area, they noticed that their compasses were spinning wildly, and their watches had stopped working. Suddenly, they heard a voice calling out from the trees, though no one else was around. When they tried to follow the sound, they found themselves disoriented, the trees seeming to shift and move around them. They eventually managed to find their way back to the trail, but they swore they had never felt so completely lost in their lives. One of the most frequently reported phenomena at the Oregon vortex is the sensation of being watched. Visitors describe an overwhelming feeling of unease, as if unseen eyes are following them from the shadows of the trees. Some have claimed to see figures standing at the edges of the vortex, their silhouettes barely visible against the dim light filtering through the canopy. Others have reported hearing faint whispers carried by the wind, their words just out of reach, as if the voices of the past are trying to tell their story. The abandoned Oregon State Tuberculosis Hospital, a legacy of suffering and the unseen tucked away on the outskirts of Salem, Oregon, stands a crumbling remnant of a bygone era, the abandoned Oregon State Tuberculosis Hospital. Once a beacon of hope for those afflicted with the deadly disease, this now forgotten institution is steeped in tragedy, suffering, and the lingering presence of those who never left. Established in the early 20th century, the hospital was designed to provide treatment for tuberculosis patients, a disease that ravaged communities and claimed countless lives before the advent of modern medicine. However, what was meant to be a place of healing became a house of horrors, where patients endured isolation, experimental treatments, and the slow, agonizing decline of their health. Today, the hospital's decaying halls are said to be haunted by the spirits of those who suffered within its walls, their pain and despair manifesting in eerie encounters that continue to unsettle visitors and paranormal investigators alike. The Oregon State Tuberculosis Hospital was founded in 1905, a time when tuberculosis was one of the deadliest diseases in the United States. With no effective cure, treatment options were limited to rest, fresh air, and surgical interventions that often did more harm than good. The hospital's design reflected the prevailing medical theories of the time, with large, open wards allowing for maximum exposure to sunlight and ventilation, believed to aid in recovery. Patients were subjected to strict regimens, often confined to bed rest for months or even years, with little hope of ever returning to a normal life. For many, the hospital was not a place of healing but a prison of slow decay, where the sound of coughing echoed through the halls and death was an ever-present reality. As the decades passed, advancements in medicine rendered the hospital obsolete, and by the 1970s, it was permanently closed. Left to the elements, the once grand facility fell into disrepair, its windows shattered, its corridors overgrown with ivy, and its patient rooms stripped of furniture and medical equipment. Despite its abandonment, the hospital has remained a magnet for urban explorers, paranormal investigators, and those drawn to its tragic history. Those who have dared to enter speak of strange occurrences, phantom footsteps echoing through empty hallways, disembodied voices calling out in the darkness, and the overwhelming sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. One of the most frequently reported phenomena at the hospital involves the sound of a woman's voice calling out in distress. Witnesses describe hearing a soft, pleading whisper, "Help me!" that seems to come from deep within the building. Some have followed the sound, only to find themselves in one of the former patient rooms, where the air grows unnaturally cold and the walls seem to close in around them. Others claim to have seen a shadowy figure darting through the hallways, vanishing the moment they try to approach. Some believe this spirit is the ghost of a former patient, trapped in the building where she spent her final days, while others suggest it could be the spirit of a nurse who worked in the hospital and perished during an outbreak of tuberculosis. The historic Baker Street district in Medford, a town that refuses to forget, nestled in the heart of southern Oregon. The historic Baker Street district in Medford is a place where the past lingers in the air like an unshakable presence. This charming downtown area, lined with well-preserved Victorian-era buildings, exudes an old-world charm that transports visitors to a bygone era. However, beneath its quaint storefronts and cobblestone streets lies a history steeped in tragedy and the supernatural. Locals and paranormal enthusiasts alike speak of eerie occurrences, ghostly figures seen in the windows of abandoned buildings, the sound of footsteps echoing through empty alleyways, and the feeling of unseen eyes watching from the shadows. Whether these experiences stem from the lingering energy of those who lived and died here or something far more sinister, one thing is certain: the Baker Street district is a place where the past refuses to be forgotten. The origins of Medford's haunted reputation can be traced back to its founding in the late 19th century. Established in 1883 as a stop along the Oregon and California Railroad, Medford quickly grew into a bustling town, attracting merchants, settlers, and fortune-seekers alike. The Baker Street district became the commercial heart of the city, with saloons, general stores, and grand hotels lining its streets. However, as with many frontier towns, Medford was not immune to tragedy. Fires, unsolved murders, and sudden deaths became part of the town's dark history, leaving behind a legacy of sorrow that refuses to fade. One of the most frequently reported hauntings in the Baker Street district is that of the woman in black. According to local legend, she was once a wealthy socialite who lived in one of the grand Victorian homes that still stand today. The story goes that she fell in love with a man who was already promised to another, and when he rejected her, she took her own life in the upstairs bedroom of her home. Since then, witnesses claim to have seen her ghostly figure standing at the window, her dark dress flowing as if caught in an unseen breeze. Some say she appears only on stormy nights, staring out into the rain as if still searching for the love she lost. Others have reported hearing the sound of a woman sobbing in the distance, only to find no one nearby when they investigate. The abandoned Portland Art Museum, a gallery of shadows tucked away in the heart of downtown Portland, the abandoned Portland Art Museum stands as a silent testament to a forgotten era. Once a vibrant cultural landmark, the museum was established in the early 20th century and quickly became a hub for artists, collectors, and art enthusiasts. Its grand halls housed an impressive collection of paintings, sculptures, and historical artifacts, drawing visitors from across the Pacific Northwest. However, by the late 1990s, the museum had fallen into decline, plagued by financial struggles and a dwindling number of patrons. In 2001, the doors were locked for the final time, leaving behind a vast, empty space that has since become a magnet for urban explorers, historians, and those drawn to the supernatural. Today, the abandoned museum is a place of eerie beauty, its once pristine marble floors now cracked and covered in dust, its grand chandeliers hanging precariously from the ceilings. Final reflections, echoes beneath the Oregon sky. As we bring our journey through Oregon's most haunted places to a close, one truth becomes undeniable. These locations are more than just remnants of the past. They are living echoes of history, tragedy, and the unexplained. From the shadowy corridors of the Stanley Hotel to the spectral whispers of Bagby Hot Springs, from the blood-soaked halls of the Oregon State Hospital to the eerie silence of the abandoned town of Golden, each of these places carries a story etched in sorrow, a whisper from the past that refuses to fade. What makes these places so haunting isn't just the legends or the ghostly encounters, it's the humanity at their core. Every location we've explored holds a life lived, a moment frozen in time, a story that demands to be remembered. Whether it's the anguished cries of the lost souls in the Shanghai tunnels, the mournful spirit of Eliza at the Klamath County Museum, or the restless echoes of Golden's vanished residence, these are not just tales of terror. They are echoes of real lives, real pain, and real history. They invite us to confront the unknown, to grapple with mysteries that defy explanation, and to consider the possibility that the past is never truly gone. It lingers in the wind, in the stones, in the shadows of every abandoned building. Yet, even as we explore these haunted corners of Oregon, we must tread with respect. These are not mere attractions or backdrops for thrill-seeking adventures. They are places of mourning, of memory, and of unfinished energy that deserves our reverence. Whether you visit in person or simply immerse yourself in their stories from afar, remember that every creaking gate, every shadow in the corner of your eye, every chill that runs down your spine could be more than just imagination. It could be a voice from the past, waiting to be heard. So, dear explorers of the unknown, as you step back into the light of the present, carry these stories with you. Let them remind you that history is not confined to books or museums. It walks among us, hidden in crumbling tunnels, windswept hot springs, and the quiet hum of forgotten prayers. And who knows? Perhaps the next time you find yourself near one of these haunted grounds, you'll pause at the gates, heart pounding, breath held, wondering if the spirits of the past are watching you just as closely as you're watching them. Until our next descent into the shadows, stay curious, stay brave, and above all, stay listening. The dead have more to say.